2025 Early Connections Conference, Expression, presented by the Van Sloun Foundation. Early Connections Conference logo. Special Joy, living with special needs and discovering special joy.
I'm Amy Ferreira, Director of Admissions and Enrollment, and I want you to know we've been eagerly anticipating this day, and we have been waiting for you. It is our hope today that you leave inspired, informed, and equipped with new ways to support your child or student, helping them grow and thrive. It's truly been a privilege and honor to watch this conference evolve to what it is today. Early Connections was created with a deep sense of support and understanding, recognizing the unique challenges and the incredible rewards of the special education journey. I want to emphasize one thing. Perkins is here for you. Our impact goes far beyond today's event. As you return to your home and classroom routines, remember that we are here and ready to support you in any way that we can. At Perkins, we help children with disabilities find their place in the world. Now I'm incredibly proud and honored to introduce the leader of this conference, Rachel Bennett. I almost took your...
Hello, can you all hear me okay? Great. Thank you for the warm introduction, Amy, and thank you to all for being here. This is amazing. It's so great to see so many faces, and we appreciate everyone who's also viewing from home. So our keynote speaker is about to take the stage, but before she does, I'd like to take a few minutes to recognize everyone who has made today possible. It's a lot, so buckle up. First, thank you to our presenting sponsor, the Van Sloun Foundation, especially Joe Van Sloun, as well as its founders, Neil and Sue Van Sloun, who are no longer with us. The reach and impact of this event would not be possible without your generosity and belief in our mission. We are deeply grateful. We'd also like to thank our additional sponsors, Eastern Bank, VHB, and Wegmans, as well as our in-kind sponsors, Abrams Nation, Ben & Jerry's, and Life Bloom. Stick around, there's gonna be Ben & Jerry's during lunch, so just FYI. We're also thankful to our giveaway partners and our incredible exhibitors, many of whom have traveled from across the country to be here. I especially want to thank Madhu Raghunathan for sharing her and her daughter Sitara's story and for her unmatched generosity and grace. If you haven't had a chance to stop by Madhu's table, please do. She's incredible. It's especially fitting that today marks the start of Employee Appreciation Week because I can't thank enough the many volunteers and Perkins teams who helped bring this event to life. And yes, agreed, yes. Including educational programs, facilities, marketing and development, FAST, IT, security, Perkins International, People Operations, Perkins Academy, the CBI Center, and Food Services. It's really incredible how many people it takes to put this together. I'm especially grateful to the family of our dear friend Robin Sitton, in whose honor our scholarship is named, a reflection of her openness and kindness, and to our digital accessibility team, Curtis Kimball, Min Ha, and Corey Cadlick, for the many hours they've devoted to making this conference as accessible as possible. Your dedication is truly inspiring. In addition to those teams, there are a few people I'd like to recognize individually. To our keynote speaker, Lauren Fornes, thank you for your time, your thoughtfulness, and your passion. We're lucky to have you and your family as part of the Perkins community, and your belief in the power of expression is deeply felt and appreciated. To our session speakers, thank you for your unparalleled dedication and expertise. We know how much work you've poured into the sessions ahead, and we can't wait for everyone to witness it. To Ed Basso, Perkins President of Educational Programs, thank you for your steady leadership and support, not only for this event, but for all of educational programs every day, every year. And to the Perkins President and CEO, Dave Power, thank you for championing ECC and guiding it into its 4th decade. This is the 42nd year of ECC. It's absolutely incredible. Yes, thank you. To our events coordinator, Tomas de las Casas, and my admissions teammates, thank you for rising to the occasion in more ways than I can count. This event would not be what it is without you. And to Amy Ferreira, thank you for believing in every idea, no matter how small or how big. Because of your, yes, yeah, I love it, thank you. Because of your support, we're welcoming more than 450 attendees today, the most in ECC history. Your thoughtfulness, creativity, and ability to bring people together embody the spirit of ECC and makes Perkins stronger. And finally, thank you to all of you. We know it's not easy to take time away from your families, to share your stories, to ask for help, and to keep showing up. Your commitment to learning for your children year after year humbles us and keeps us going. This day is for you. And now it's my honor and privilege to introduce this year's keynote speaker, Lauren Fornes. Lauren is a Perkins parent, trustee, children's book author, and a passionate advocate for universal design and disability inclusion. I'll borrow from one of her own writings. Lauren has an unrelenting passion for beauty. She believes it is healing and always available if we pause to discover or create it. Her son Brick has taught her that beauty exists in a dimension beyond vision. When it comes to imagination, the blind see best. After all, the most beautiful things in life are unseen. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Lauren Fornes.
Hi, I'm Lauren. It's nice to meet all of you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, guys. It's been so wonderful to work with you, Rachel, and the other Rachel, who the other, two Rachel Bennetts in one school is just too much for me. I never know who I'm talking to. Thank you to Ed Basso. Thank you to Dave Power, Steve Pelletier, kind of the leaders. And then thank you for everybody else underneath who allowed me the opportunity to step out of the role of teacher and educator for my son. I'm a terrible teacher, and into the role of mom, which is such a huge gift. And you guys let me do that every day. And the speech I'm going to give you is all written and composed while my son was at school. And I thought about that and how lucky I am that he's in a place where I could take the time to think about this. So with that, I am going to talk about something that you don't often think about when you think about special needs parenting in the journey, but it's special joy. And it's a privilege to be with you all today, not as an expert, not as a professional or an exhibitor or anything, just as a fellow parent, as a Perkins parent. I chose to be a mom. I chose to be a mom 4 times. And I did not choose to be a special needs mom. That identity and those words were something I really resisted for a long time. My son, Brick, got sick as a baby, and in an instant, I found myself in a world of medical terms, of diagnoses, of a very unrecognizable future. It was kind of like someone changed the map just while I was on the trail. Brick is 10 now. We moved from California here for Perkins when he was about 5 years old. The school in California, the principal came to me and said, unfortunately, we don't know how to educate your child. And I felt pretty alone. The nearest school for the blind was 2.5 hours away from our house and one way. And they suggested boarding him as a 5-year-old with, a lot of disabilities. So he's blind. He has cortical visual impairment, which many of you will know means that his eyes function, but his brain has trouble processing what his eyes are seeing. And so many people don't notice that at first. He doesn't fit what most people, even what I at the time imagined blind looked like. And he's also in a wheelchair. But more than anything else that I could tell you about Brick is that he loves people and he loves to connect with people. When he was younger, actually, not even when he's younger, right now, anytime, one of his favorite little rituals is we'll be out somewhere, we'll be in a park, we'll be in an elevator or a sidewalk, and he'll just stop people and strike up a conversation with them. And he starts with this kind of routine. He will ask them their name. He's obsessed with dogs. Do you have a dog? What's your dog's name? He'll ask if they saw a picture in the cloud, and he'll say, like, do you see the puppy in the cloud? Do you see, the castle in the cloud? And people will play along. They'll laugh, they'll point out silly shapes, they'll claim to see other shapes in the clouds. And it's always something that's really light and warm and endearing and usually full of some laughter. And it's only after that moment kind of passes that I will kind of gently explain that Brick can't actually see the clouds, that he's blind, and he just really wanted to get to know you. He wants to be your friend. Brick wasn't asking those questions to gather information. He was asking because he knew something we, at least I, often forget, which is connection is always possible. It's always possible, even if our perception or our ability varies. The moment that impulse to connect, even if you're working with different tools, taught me something really profound. And it is one of my first tastes of what I like to think of now as special joy, which we're going to talk about. Special joy is not the kind of joy that comes when everything is perfect. It is the kind that grows in really unexpected places, gritty, resilient, luminous joy. And if there's one thing I can offer you today, it's the possibility that this joy is available to you right here, right now, in the middle of exhaustion, in the middle of grief, and even if you don't recognize the life you're living, it's available. Along this journey, I found a framework that helped me. And I recognize everyone here is really different places, but I hope it can help you. It's from a psychologist named Martin Seligman, who he studies positive psychology, which is not just how we survive and move through life, but how we thrive in life. And he came up with these 5 pillars of wellness, things that help us, our children, live more connected, meaningful lives. And he calls this the PERMA model. Models aren't perfect, but I find this one very useful. And I want to share it with you, not as a checklist or a to-do list, but as a toolkit. And these pillars are not for typical people. They're for humans. They belong to you. They belong to your children, your grandchildren, your parents, your child. They belong to my son, to all of us. And they can guide us in moments of uncertainty. They can give us permission to seek out beauty in the struggle, and they can be touchstones, not for fixing things, but for grounding ourselves in meaning right where we are. I just have to take a moment. This is a sidebar that's going to throw off all the people who had my script before, but the little details, the beauty, like the joy that I see right now in this room, aside from all of you, are these beautiful flower arrangements that Amy made. That's not in her job description. I love walking in here and seeing the tulips blooming for the blind and visually impaired children that go to school here. It's just one of those little moments where I just like soak it in every time I see it. So just something to think about. Okay, back to the PERMA model. So the first pillar is positive emotion. This is not pretending everything is okay when it isn't. It's making space for joy anyway. It's the joy of a belly laugh. It's the joy in holding hands. It's the joy, you guys, the sun is out finally on a Saturday in Boston. It's amazing. It's the way Brick lights up when someone laughs with him. He feels joy through others and through that connection. I remember one day recently we were in the hospital and it had been a long day, and everyone in the room, myself especially, was extremely tired and stressed. And I was laying in the bed with him and really anxious about some test results. And this resident walks in and Brick's like, "Hey, hi, what's your name? Did you see the flying watermelon today in the sky?" This resident who was like all business is like, what? No, I missed that, but it sounds amazing. And just like that, something in the room shifted. We all smiled, we all laughed, the air felt just lighter. That's the power of small joy. And it opens something, it creates a little space. As caregivers, we need this. It's vital. It's just so essential. Your joy matters. It deeply matters. And it restores you. so that you can go back to your job and your privilege of caring. Your joy can exist right beside your grief. You don't have to pick one or the other, and you don't have to wait. It's right there, right here. Thanks to this beautiful day everyone arranged. Try noticing one thing each day. That flicker of warmth, a sound, a moment, a look, just let it in. Let it stay in. And more than that, help your child experience that positive emotion too. Whether they respond to sound or texture or rhythm, joy can take root there, and they deserve that just as much as we do. The second pillar is engagement. Engagement is that feeling of being so absorbed in something that time stops. For our kids, it might be music or water or sensory play, light, a voice. For Brick, it's doors, elevators, and magnetiles. Not in any particular order. When he's really into something, matching colors, stacking magnetiles, trying to figure out a pattern, he enters a joy trance. And I find that when I let myself join him there, even briefly, I'm reminded how much richness lives just in being present. And for us, what brings that kind of attention for you? Maybe it's writing. This morning, I'm incredibly anxious about this presentation. I've been anxious since they asked me like 7 months ago, or 8 months ago. But I just like went in the garden and I just picked flowers. They're all about, their daffodils are about to die. I'm like, I just have to pick them. I just need to like relax and connect. So what brings you that sort of engagement? Is it writing? Is it dancing? Is it fixing something? Maybe it's nothing big. Maybe it's just, I don't know, brewing that like perfect cup of coffee. You know, the perfect cup of coffee. And the steam is coming up, it's quiet for a second. Maybe it's that. You deserve those moments of full engagement too. And they're not selfish, they are sacred. Your child deserves them. Find their portals. What draws them in? That's where learning and peace and pleasure lives. Give yourself permission to follow their lead sometimes, and we all might be surprised where we end up. The third pillar, is everybody good? Third pillar, everyone's awake, is relationships. This one is so important. I actually just want to, again, go off script and just say, when Brick first got sick, didn't want community. I was maybe in denial. I was wanting to be alone with it and kind of get through it. There had never been a time I went to the doctor and couldn't fix it, or the doctor couldn't fix it. So it was very weird to be kind of at the edge of modern medicine. And I just didn't want anyone else around. And I self-isolated. And I just commend everyone here for being braver and probably more psychologically balanced and healthy than I was at this stage, just for showing up. So going back to the script, connection is everything. It's what Brick seeks in the clouds. It's what we all crave, even when we don't know how to ask for it or how to receive it or where to find it. This journey can be very isolating. Friends drift, conversations change. It's hard to explain what day-to-day looks like unless someone's been there. But here's what I've learned. The most powerful relationships often begin with shared vulnerability. One brave conversation, one moment of truth. The people in this room, the parents who understand your silence, your tears, your fear, your joy doesn't look like anyone else's. But the people here, they matter. Let yourself be known here. We need each other. Brick connects with others through his imagination. We can connect through imagination, but also just through honesty. through showing up for each other. Let this be a space today, in the future, where you're allowed to be fully human. As for your child, relationships are just as vital, whether they're verbal or not, mobile or not. Connection is still possible. Let's surround them with people who see them, who delight them. That is foundational. The next pillar is meaning. This one took me some time. I really didn't want this story, but over time, I discovered deep meaning in this role, not because it's easy, not because I wouldn't change it if given the choice, although at this point, maybe I wouldn't change it, I don't know, but because it's taught me to love more fiercely, to be more present, to love more expansively. Meaning can come from being an advocate, from working for your child's needs, from celebrating every milestone with your whole heart. It can also come from really quiet places. This is probably where I find the most meaning. It's a whispered bedtime story. It's a song. And when things are really tough, it's sometimes just sharing a breath together. You're building meaning every single day, not despite of your circumstances, but in many cases because of them. Let that in and let it matter. And invite your child into this meaning-making act as well, through story, through play, through their own curiosity and connections. Purpose doesn't require words or independence. It only requires being present. The last pillar is accomplishment. Progress looks very different here. Brick's victories are not measured in test scores or trophies or anything like that. They are measured in seconds, half seconds of balance. In his words, actually, when we were applying here, Amy reminded me the first touchstone that I had to Perkins was her through the admissions process. And I remembered a conversation I had right before hers with another school where they asked me, how many verbal words does your son have? He was 5 years, almost 5. And I was like, well, I think, if you count ma as mom, like we understand maybe 5 words that he has. And they're like, oh, that's too many. He's going to speak someday. He can't go to school here. And I got off the phone and sobbed. I remember feeling like, wait, the school where you do have words won't take us, the school that he has 5 words and it's too many. Like, what is going on here? How is he ever going to talk? You guys, we cannot get this kid to be quiet. He will not shut up. And he like goes and goes and goes. And it's hilarious in the IEP. We joke, like it used to be like, get him to these words, get him to understand time, get him to understand, future and past tense. And now he is a chatterbox and it is lovely. But progress is very, very different from him. So it can be measured in balance. It can be measured in the sound of his voice. It can also be the giggle he feels when you spend your morning building like the tallest tower he has ever seen, and he just crashes it down and thinks it is the funniest thing to watch it all down. Those moments where we just meet him where he is, that's accomplishment. And as parents, we accomplish extraordinary things every day, things the world may never see. Most of them the world will never see, but we see them and they matter. And I want to encourage you to notice your accomplishments. Just start today. Start like, what did you accomplish this morning? Did you make it through a hard night last night? Did you get dressed and show up here? I felt like that was a major accomplishment. Did you advocate when it was uncomfortable? And did you find patience when you're running really low? These are not small things. These are acts of devotion, of courage, and of love. And celebrating what your child accomplishes, even when no one else sees that, is also big. And we want to celebrate those accomplishments with you. try noticing one thing each day that brings that, oops, sorry, I've already read that. So here's what I've come to believe. Special joy is not the opposite of hardship. It's braided into it. It's what happens when we find meaning in our story. It's when we stay open to connection and when we fight for beauty in the struggle. It's when the little boy who can't see the sky invites strangers to look up with him and teaches them to see something. It's the joy in choosing presence again and again, of opening your heart even when it hurts, of knowing that while the path may not be the one you planned, it's still full of love. My kids asked me, I'd written a silly book, a story, a poem one night, and they would often ask me to read it. And then, when my daughter was my oldest is 15, when she was in school, she asked me to read it to her first grade class. And she did this really cool presentation on cortical visual impairment. And then a few years later, her brother did the same and kind of became this thing. And then Brick really liked the story. One day they asked me to make this book. So today, as a small gift to all of you, I'm giving you a copy of the book. It's called Magic Eyes. It's my son's story about looking in the clouds. It's in all of your bags. In addition, I wrote the book as a tool to raise awareness about blindness and cortical visual impairment, and also to raise funds for Perkins. So a donation has already been made in your name for every book that you see. So thank you. Not in your name, but I didn't write all your names, but a donation was made on your behalf to Perkins. And I hope that you'll read the book, enjoy the book. It's very lighthearted. It's supposed to be, but I hope it brings you and hopefully one of your children a little spark of joy, our kind of special joy. And as we say in the book, I hope you see the magic. So I am being cued to now open up for question and answer. So if anybody has any questions on any of this, please, or my experience, I'm happy to share. And if you don't, I have some questions I could ask you as well. So if you have questions, let me know. I should have told you we could ask questions. Prepare.
A question from the chat. How has it felt, or how has your life changed by sharing Brick's story with the world?
Oh, that's such a good question. So if you haven't picked up, I'm pretty shy to talk about my story. As I was working on this, Brick actually had something happen and we landed back in the hospital after a nice break from being in the hospital. And I realized how the trauma of all of it just kind of lives and resides in my cells. And it was just kind of an interesting observation. But what I realized, I had a mentor during COVID. She's a psychologist herself, and she said at one point early when I first met her that events aren't intrinsically good or bad; they just are. And we apply a layer of meaning to them over time based on our history and our experience. And I remember at the time finding that offensive and thinking, yeah, well, easy for you to say, like, she's got 2 healthy kids, she's got this great career, she's doing all these really cool projects and all this great stuff. And I remember just kind of being offended and being hurt by it. And it took me about 3 years, but I tracked it in my writing. I journal a lot. And one day it just clicked for me. And I realized, yes, when my son got sick, my life changed in ways that at the time I wish it hadn't. But just the same way, kind of special joy is woven into this. So many good things have come out of this experience that at this stage, 10 years on, I can't take it apart. I can't say that some other path would have been better because there are so many good things that have happened in our life. I'm 100% a better person. I am a better parent. I'm a more stressed out parent, I think. I don't know what the other path would have been, but I definitely carry a lot of stress and anxiety. But I think the question is, how has it changed my life? It's enriched it. I wish I could have enriched it a different way, going to a museum or something a little smaller, but it's definitely been a journey, and it's grown me in ways that I don't regret. Does anyone else have a question? It doesn't have to be a perfect question.
I do have another question from the chat. Steve Jacobs writes, just curious, have you ever tried playing audio described movie soundtracks for your son to try and listen to?
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. So yes, we've actually, his oldest sister, or his older sister, so we're always trying to find things he can do on his own because it requires, he requires help for everything. You know, he's in diapers, he can't eat or drink or do any of the, normal, typical things without some help. But his older sister got this idea, which we actually don't need to create anymore, but she wanted to create an AI app. So Brick has an imaginary friend named Gloria, and any of his teachers here will know Gloria very well. She's also in a wheelchair. She has a birthday like every 3 days. Like she's like the luckiest girl ever. She's also really old. um, but she goes everywhere with us. And my older daughter was like, I want to create an AI app that we call Gloria that just answers these like constant questions. He asks so many questions and can just like go back and forth with him. So we ended up setting this up. And she wanted this to be like her summer project this summer. And we ended up AI is amazing. And there are apps for those of you looking for this sort of thing that are friends. I don't know how accessible those apps are. We just used, I think, ChatGPT, or the other one is called. But anyway, he would ask a question about an elevator. I mean, you guys, we go deep on the elevator conversation. And it was hilarious. Does it have sliding doors? Does the elevator have glass doors? How many floors does it go up? Like, where is the elevator located? Is there a view? Is it blue inside? I mean, literally, and ChatGPT is like, do you want it to be blue? He's like, yes, I do. Okay, it's blue. Like, just like playing right along. So yes, we don't do a ton of audio books, but we do ChatGPT and Gloria. Does anyone here have a question? Oh, Mr. Basso? We have a lot of time for questions, so there's no pressure to come up with one. But if there's something that you're wondering, please do feel comfortable asking or talk to me after too.
So I wanted to start by just like as a parent who has a child who has vision loss and has been on this, like I've been in the field forever, and then I had a child with vision loss, so it like flipped the script for me, and it's a different way to be. I wanted to just say thank you for again teaching something in a moment that you think you've been along and you're here, and I just learned so much this morning, and I want to thank you for that because there's this piece about the power of connection that you keep talking about. And I got today that it's not just connection, because sometimes I think connection, I have to connect with other people and I don't want to sometimes. And it's connecting with everything, like connecting with the world around you, everything. That was just that notion was so powerful this morning to me. And the other thing is, you talked about something that I keep trying to explain to people about and maybe it was around engagement. I can't remember where you said it, but when you take that moment to be engaged in something, it's a freeing, liberating moment because you're away from all the other anxiety and worry that was occupying you. And I find that with gratitude, right? So like if you can be in a grateful moment, it doesn't share space with anything else. And sometimes it's hard. And you reminded me today that you can always find a moment to be grateful for something. And I try to practice that, but I wanted to I guess my question is, and it's maybe a very obvious question, I don't know, but like, what are the ways, like I know how I try and do it, but what are the ways that, I don't want to say you find the resilience or the courage in the hardest moments to do that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how do you make yourself shift there? Because sometimes it's so hard to shift there. I don't know. That's my comment, question, something.
Well, I'm really touched by the comments, so thank you, Ed. As for the question part, can I say it back to you? How do you show up presently?
Yeah, like how do you shift there sometimes when
Yeah.
you're just overwhelmed by everything? Like,
Yeah.
and you make that conscious choice to go.
Yeah.
Are there any like, I don't know, that's not right, but what is it that gets you to keep going with that? I mean, I know
Yeah.
anxiety, you get stuff there, visual by habits, but I don't know. I just want to about that.
Yeah, I think this is really hard. And I think you don't, I often don't realize I'm not conscious that I'm lacking it until later. I look back and I'm like, wow, I was so disconnected from everything, from everyone, from everything. And then that becomes its own kind of lesson. But during COVID, I took a positive psychology course led by this woman, Dr. Sasha Hines. She has a good podcast too. So I would highly recommend that. But for me, what works is writing. And Sasha has a strategy called a steer map that you can learn about. It's basically it helps you tap into what you're feeling. What I find so fascinating about the work of positive psychology is that this might be a little too abstract for this conversation, but that our thoughts actually generate everything, our actions, our feelings, our results. If we wake up in the morning and say, this is going to be a crappy day because it's raining again in Boston and it's icy and I've got a wheelchair and I hurt my back and I slipped that disc and all the things, guess what? You're going to feel miserable and you're going to go out and you're going to jerk the wheelchair out. The wheelchair is like the embodiment of my frustration. So when it breaks and it takes 6 months to fix, I'm just like, stupid wheelchair. It's like wherever, it's like where I put everything in. But I am grateful, incredibly grateful for these wheelchairs. But if you wake up and you're like, okay, it's miserable outside and I'm going to make this day feel connected. And just that thought, like, that's just it. That feels somehow like empowering. And when I feel empowered, I approach my whole day differently. And so going back to kind of the really practical, how do you do this every day? I spent years, and years doing a steer map every day, sometimes 5 a day, where I basically took thoughts that were consuming me, and frankly, driving the bus, driving my life, and just explored them without any judgment. And that's what I do to this day. I mean, I wrote a steer map this morning about my nervousness talking in front of all these people about this and trying to meet all of you right where you are and feeling like, God, I mean, day to day, I want to hear different things. I can't imagine talking to a whole room full of people at different places. And I found that intimidating and overwhelming. I really think this PERMA model is incredibly powerful. It's it's something that I think about all of them, and I notice when one of my pillars is broken. So right now, in the spirit of vulnerability, I coming off winter here, I struggled with connection, with relationships. Everyone to leave our house is like a production. We don't have an accessible car. We probably need an elevator. Our son's wheelchair doesn't fit with a jacket on, so we have to wear a jacket backwards, so he's not warm enough. So my result is I self-isolate and I end up not leaving the house and I feel lonely sometimes. And I could leave the house, but it just feels like so much work and the days are short and it's dark and I kind of want to go to bed and maybe have a glass of wine. So I think it's a process, but I think also just acknowledging those feelings and being really authentic about and honest just with yourself. Okay, this pillar needs work. So now I move into a yes mode. My excuses are gone. It's beautiful outside. How am I going to connect? Well, I'm going to show up here. This is not what a secret introvert wants to do. It's talk to a bunch of people. So I came here and I've already connected with people that have just made my day and given me energy and inspired me. And sometimes it's doing uncomfortable things like that. I have questions too that could help with that. I have some like questions you can think about when you're trying to reconnect is what's one moment of joy you've experienced with your child? Just pausing and thinking about it. I think that is just such an easy touchstone. And sometimes it feels like absolutely nothing, but it's like we pop the bubble in the bath or he woke up without a poop in his diaper. It's just great when you don't have to do a poopy diaper first thing in the morning. I think, and it's really funny when he does that. I'm like, good job, we got that one for dad. So, we kind of joke about it, but it can be like that small, and just kind of taking that time to acknowledge it. Yeah. What is your name? Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Antonio, and you started your story. Thank you for sharing it, by the way. And you started it in a place that, to my mind, is like not of acceptance, and now that has tremendously shifted. What was that moment or process like? How did you find acceptance? Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you so much, Antonio. And such a good question. It definitely was not a moment for me. It was a process, and it was slower than I would have wished, and yet exactly right. It was the moment, honestly, as I think about it, I think it was probably the book. My kids were asking me to do it. I would read it on a Google Doc to their classrooms. All of deciding to do the book was something I did for them. And doing that, it kind of felt like I got to make this really sad thing really joyful. They came with me to the printer. I learned how to write a book. I learned I didn't illustrate it, how to work with an illustrator. It was just this really expansive learning process. So I think that in conjunction with, working with mental health professionals. So exercising, making time for exercise was massive. And not feeling guilty that I needed that, because that was the other thing. So now there are just certain non-negotiables that I think make me a better parent and will help me do my job and my privilege better. Is that helpful? Thank you. Over here.
Hello. Hi, my name is Lukia. I wanted to thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I just had a question regarding, based on what you have told us about your experience with your son, you may have spent a lot of time in hospitals with doctors and a plethora of service providers for him, as well as finding this wonderful school and community. So I am just curious for the variety of people who might be watching and participating today, who may be service providers, who are trying to do the most to do the best for children like your son. What was something that stood out to you with certain service providers, maybe in your son's experience? And in conjunction with that, what would you suggest to service providers like us? What would you recommend to us in regards to servicing children like your son?
Thank you. Is it Lukia? Is that your name? Thanks, Lukia. Thank you for the work you do with kids like Brick. First, I can tell you, any parent like me is grateful for a human like you. There's so much we don't know. I feel like Perkins is full of humans who spent their adult lives learning how to care for children like my son and some of your family, presumably your children. So we're incredibly grateful. I think if I look across all services, so from PT, OT, O&M, TBI, like the whole thing over to the bus drivers and all the things, the doctors, the emergency room people, like there's just an endless support network. The ones that have stood out are the ones that never forget why they're doing what they're doing. I don't want to say anything negative about anybody, but we struggle with like the bus system. Many of you might struggle with like the bus. I don't know. But I think the struggle there is that the drivers and the aides are very deeply connected. I don't think they're just bus driving. I don't think they're just sitting next to a kid that needs help. I think they genuinely love helping people. I think the disconnect is on the kind of more bureaucratic side where, oh, we forgot that we're offering the service to children who can't see. A good example is this week, the bus showed up at our house early and then at minute 10, just like drove off. And it was kind of bad. I have lots of kids to get to school and I was pretty frustrated. I like I'm running down, I'm literally like sweating and like anaerobic. And I'm like, wait, you saw us in the kitchen. Like, I thought you knew, like, I waved to you. Like, I thought you knew, like, we needed your help today. And I'm just running late. I have to brush his teeth and his caretaker called in sick and all these things were happening at once. And my other daughter couldn't find her shoe, like it's stupid stuff, right? It's the everyday stuff of life. And this woman was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My boss told me to leave. I'd been here 10 minutes, told me to leave. And you just realize like this woman really genuinely wants to help. She's like, I'll never drive off again. Now the bus drivers change every day, so you don't really know who you're going to get the next day. But that meant so much to me. And it was like disarming almost. I was like ready to I was seconds from tears. Like, I can't believe I'm literally chasing a bus down a road, like fast. And that was, it was interesting. I think if the person who made that call or decision was in the room, I think it would have felt really different. And I think anyone who stays connected to the purpose of their work outside of special needs, just in any career, I think excels in their work. The details you see here today are that Rachel Bennett in the pink dress, not Rachel Bennett in the other outfit, that Rachel Bennett, this Rachel Bennett, the details you see here aren't somebody who kind of just does their job. This is someone who cares deeply about your experience, who cares deeply about your children, and has found meaningful, satisfying accomplishment in helping put this on for you. And I can tell you, she has been working so hard at this for so many months. It's phenomenal. So I think that's just something, that's just a decision I think she made, that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it really, really well. And 90, that I would actually say that's one of the best things about having a special needs child, is getting to see this side of humanity that I never would have connected with, that I had no reason to meet orientation and mobility specialists. I had no idea what that was, having two typically developing older kids. And I get every day to interact with Kayla, his teacher, with Ashley, his PT, with Patrick, the backup PT, with his vocational teacher, with like, there's just all these amazing people in our life who provide this incredible scaffolding and let me go back to just building the magnet tile he's going to castle he's going to knock down. And that's being a mom, and that's fun for me. Doing his PT, which I did for many years, it was actually my first Amazon purchase. Was we would do his vision stuff in I bought a pop-up photo booth from Amazon. It was like my first Amazon purchase. I was like, is this a real website? Is this like gonna steal my credit card information? I don't know. And I bought this pop-up photo booth, and we put it in his nursery, painted the whole thing white, put this black booth in, and then I took all the kids to Home Depot. And we got like all of these flashlights and things, and yellow Mylar. And we just did the whole thing and wrapped the bottle, and it would get really hot. And we would all spend as much time as we possibly could in there. And when he was that age, his eyes, he couldn't see anything. His eyes wouldn't even react to light much. And it's been really exciting to see him now. He's grown quite a bit and can see colors and all sorts of things. So the work you're doing is amazing. And I think just staying connected to your why is probably the best advice. Sorry, it's so rambly. I have 5 minutes. Is there one more question somewhere?
Hi, my name is Shelby. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know exactly how to form this question, but just a general idea. I have a son who's 2.5 who's blind, and we're having another child, and presumably they will be sighted. How have all your children grown in this? How do you deal with your sighted children and non-sighted children? How do they interact together? How do you feel maybe guilty sometimes, maybe, that they have different experiences, and how do you kind of reconcile all that, I guess?
Well, Shelby, thank you. And congratulations. Are you pregnant or? Congratulations. That's so wonderful. That's so, so special, and incredibly brave. Because so we had 3 children. Brick is our third, and then it took us. We'd always wanted 4. We thought we wanted 4, and then we had our third, and we're like, that's like 4. So we're good. And then at the last minute, we decided to try and had a 4th. So Brick has a younger sister who is now 6. In my opinion and my experience, there's really no greater gift. There's no greater gift because for your children, they won't see it as sighted versus unsighted, typical versus not typical. They're just going to see a big brother, and they're going to treat him like a big brother for better or for worse. Like they're going to bicker, they're going to love, they're going to hug, they're going to play, you're giving your son, I think, a really amazing gift. It's going to be hard and challenging for you for a lot of reasons. We've got 4 kids in 4 schools and now 2 states, and drop off is like real. It's like a lot of my day. And with the bus, missing a bus is like a really big deal. There are logistics that go with it, but I mean, that's one thing I don't regret or have any second thought about is that decision. And we're in a really fortunate position that we were able to get help. If you're in that position, I know there are state services available for respite, but you have to just make sure you're taking care of yourself along the way. The better you do that, the better parent you're going to be to all of your children and the better spouse and friend and all of those things. But yeah, there's no greater joy. More kids, more kids. Not for me, for you. I think that's it. So I guess in conclusion, my final wish or hope for all of you is that you just can connect with that special joy, that you just remember that it's there, that it isn't perfect. It isn't, don't wait for it. It's like right here. You don't have to do anything, just observe it and it's waiting for you. And thank you. This has been a real pleasure.